It's a beautiful Sunday evening, day number 5 in the month of January 2025. Welcome to the very first edition of Ironport in 2025. Indeed, Ironport is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GWEL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA, and our media partner is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. Now, if you want to have a grasp of all that transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show. Tonight, we are streaming live on our social media pages on Facebook. We are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema, and on YouTube, we are streaming live at Ironport. Now, we shall be getting interactive with you, and so all you have to do is sit back, relax, and grab your phones and send us your messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0538-037353, 0538-037353. When the time is ripe and I pick signals from the production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we will continue the show. Please stay with us.
Energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP, available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefee. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. My money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. And indeed, in the course of the week, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority had cause to give thanks to God for guiding the authority throughout the year. And they also announced some spectacular performance during the year 2024 and give projections for 2025. Plus, we'll also bring you some news from the port of Takoradi as well. Please enjoy.
The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority ushered in the new year with its annual Thanksgiving service earlier this week, bringing together staff and management to express gratitude for a remarkable year of achievements. Held under the theme, "It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord," the event celebrated GPHA's successes while acknowledging God's divine guidance throughout the year 2024. A highlight of the gathering was the announcement of a historic milestone. The Port of Tema recorded a total cargo traffic of 21,938,731 tons, the highest in its history. This excludes the performance in December.
God has brought us this far. We have even exceeded the 2021 volumes. And if we are talking about throughputs, the throughputs we had over 26 million. This is as at November. The December figures are not yet in. And we saw the biggest vessel calls for 2024, or the whole, since GPHA started, we saw the biggest vessels calling.
Beyond the record-breaking cargo traffic, GPHA also highlighted significant advancements in equipment acquisition to bolster its operational capacity.
On the pilot boats, we said thank you to management. We had our pilot boats and patrol boats, Jacob Adokor and Captain Sian. And then in December, we received our last baby, our multi-purpose badge for the name. We give thanks to God. And on the equipment side, with all our noise, we still got a few. We got 46-ton reach stackers, 10 of them. We had the 36-ton muffins, we had 5. And then the 16-ton, we had 1. And then 5 tons, we had 2. And there's more in the budget for this year to procure more equipment.
The Director General of the Authority, Michael Lugoje, also reviewed ongoing projects that will further solidify GPHA's standing as a key driver of Ghana's maritime trade and logistics sector.
Last year, we were able to start the Tema Port Breakwater project. Those of you who are familiar with the port and the breakwater, it was really in a very bad state. If we risk delaying it further, we're going to have major challenges. That is being done now. It's not just being rehabilitated, but it's being modernized to last for the next 50 years.
He reflected on how the successes attained in the year 2024 gave the authority room to strengthen its workforce and create employment opportunities for many Ghanaians.
But we are all grateful today to know that the over 1,000 contract staff, all God permanent staff, I think there is nothing more opportune for us to say thank you to Almighty God than the opportunity we have as staff of Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to give an opening for another colleague Ghanaian to work in this organization and earn a living.
The atmosphere at the Thanksgiving service was vibrant and joyous, with captivating performances by the GPHA Security Band and other staff groups adding to the celebratory mood. The lively musical performances, combined with heartfelt prayers and motivational messages, created a strong sense of unity and shared purpose. The event concluded with a renewed commitment from GPHA's leadership and staff to build on these successes and strive for even greater achievements. in the new year. In a related development, the management and staff at the Port of Takoradi convened for their annual Thanksgiving service under the theme, Enter His Gate with Thanksgiving. The gathering served as a platform to reflect on God's goodness over the course of the year 2024. The event also served as a moment to celebrate collaboration between staff and management and reaffirm the shared vision of achieving greater operational excellence in the coming year. In his address, the Director of Ports, Peter Amobediakon, highlighted significant milestones, including an 11% increase in import volumes, a 44% increase in export cargo volumes, driven by manganese and bauxite shipments, and a doubling of cruise vessel calls from 7 in 2023 to 14 in 2024.
As at the end of November 2023, we have recorded just 7 cruise vessels. But as of November ending 2024, it had increased to 14, showing the interest that we have. Import cargo increased 11% from 2.5 to 2.8 million metric tons.
He also noted the inauguration of a state-of-the-art oil and gas services terminal and the launch of a medical diagnostic center, which began operations in 2024.
Our cutting-edge medical diagnostic center, that beautiful edifice that is out there, constructed by our own in-house civil engineering team, officially began operation. In April 2024. It is already bringing changes in healthcare delivery, not only to our port community, but also the metropolis and also the whole of Western Region and Western North. The last thing about the major achievement is in November, we proudly inaugurated the oil and gas services terminal. This facility positions the Port of Takoradi as a significant contributor to support upstream oil and gas exploration and production operations, not only within Ghana, but throughout the West Africa South region.
The Deputy Human Resource Manager, Anthony Eshen, highlighted the progress made during the year, commending staff for their resilience and dedication.
Today we are here with heartfelt gratitude, not only to reflect on the blessings of the past and the current year, but also to express our heartfelt appreciation for the hard work and dedication each one of you contributes to our port community.
In a poignant moment, the Deputy HR Manager led a tribute to honor 3 staff members who passed away in the year under review, recognizing their invaluable contributions to the port community. Reverend Francis Mensah, the parish priest of Martyrs of Uganda, in his sermon, reminded the port community on the need to reflect on their journey and the divine guidance that has brought them this far.
The power we have to overcome all these challenges in the year of the review is the transcendent power of God. It's the power of God that has brought us this far. So we need to celebrate the power of God. The reason why our theme says, draw near to Him, enter His gates, praise Him, and bless His holy name.
Okay, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. We are now going for some international port and shipping news.
Finnish authorities are investigating the Russian-linked tanker Eagle S for dragging its anchor across 50 nautical miles, damaging subsea cables in the Gulf of Finland. The vessel, part of Russia's dark fleet, is accused of vandalism, regulatory breaches, and interference with telecommunications. The case has raised suspicions of espionage, with allegations that the tanker previously carried signals intelligence equipment. Although Finnish police dismissed the claims, the incident highlights growing concerns over Russia's covert use of merchant vessels for intelligence operations. At least 7 people are confirmed dead after the Milestones, a Haitian ro-ro freighter, capsized at Port-au-Prince's Vero terminal on December 23. The vessel, carrying 34 trucks, rolled to port and came to rest on its side. Such efforts continue, with authorities still locating bodies inside the ship. Reports suggest some of the deceased may have been looters attempting to steal cargo as the vessel listed. Images show small boats near the wreck and toppled trucks sliding to the ship's low side, worsening the tilt before capsizing. The wreck occurred in a cabotage area, sparing berths used by international vessels. While cabotage operations are suspended, fuel tanker activities vital to Haiti's economy remain unaffected. The terminal operator has prioritized resupply to Haiti's southern peninsula.
All right, welcome back. So we are going for the word or phrase of the day. And remember, the word or phrase of the day has been fashioned to bring you up to speed with the terminologies and jargons we use in the shipping industry. Today's word is ballast. Ballast.
Ballast. In maritime terminology, ballast refers to any material used on a vessel to provide stability and maintain proper trim. Traditionally, this involved solid materials like iron or stone. In modern shipping, however, ballast water is commonly used, which is seawater taken into dedicated ballast tanks to ensure the ship's stability, especially when not fully loaded with cargo.
And now straight on to our health and safety tip, and today we're talking about a healthy diet.
A healthy diet. This is a diet that maintains or improves overall health. A healthy diet provides the body with essential nutrition, fluid, macronutrients such as protein, vitamins, adequate fiber, and food energy. The requirements for a healthy diet can be met from a variety of plant-based and animal-based foods, although additional sources of vitamin B12 are needed for those following a vegan diet. Consumers should be informed, motivated, and empowered to choose healthy diets.
Right, so we are zooming into our discussion proper tonight. Tonight we are taking a look at 2024 in retrospect and the outlook for 2025. And every January we've always had the privilege of bringing you this particular subject. I want to take a look at trends in 2024 and what 2025 or the new year would be. And we've always had a special guest in the studio every January, in the first week of January, to help us treat this particular subject. And so it gives me pleasure this evening, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to us the vintage, the affable, and the indefatigable Dr. Emmanuel Kofimbia, who is an international maritime consultant and indeed private legal practitioner at Alliance Partners here in Accra. Doc, good evening, sir, and welcome.
Good evening and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, sir, Doc. Happy New Year, sir. It looks as though you are... Anytime you come here, you grow much more younger.
yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, first of all, just can you perhaps tell us what the highlights of the year 2024 in the maritime industry in Ghana was for you, if you monitored closely?
Before I talk about the highlights,
yes, please.
Let me just quickly. I know there is a small girl who watches this program,
okay,
especially whenever I'm on. And,
all right.
Tomorrow is her birthday. She's 4 years old.
Right.
Nanekia, happy birthday to you.
Okay.
I wish you all the best.
All right, sure. Nanekia, Doc says happy birthday. The entire team at Iron Port also says thank you very much for always choosing Iron Port, particularly whenever Doctor comes. But please don't make it whenever Doc alone comes. Make it a regular habit every Sunday. Thank you.
Yes, good. I mean, I believe that a number of things took place in the course of the year. I mean, we just heard about what happened in Takoradi with respect to the oil and gas terminal, which is very significant.
Yes.
We heard of new equipment as far as GPHA is concerned.
Absolutely.
Normally the lifeblood, if you like, for any port operations.
Yes.
Without the proper, adequate equipment, you fall behind in terms of competitiveness.
Sure.
So I believe that is one of the key things also that one can talk about.
Right.
Apart from that, I believe that if you look at the total throughput that was mentioned, it's an indication that, yes, despite the challenges, we are still getting somewhere. So overall, I think that we can say that 2024 was a good year.
Absolutely. Then let's now take a look at the global trend highlights.
Yes. Kennedy, you will recall that I think last year when we met here, doing this same discussion, I indicated that we were beginning to see the green shoots, post-pandemic era.
Right.
But we're not too sure how soon we would get over the doldrums and such that we would come to the continuous growth we have seen in the pre-pandemic era. The good thing is that, yes, there is a rebound. Global seaborne trade in 2023 and 2024 saw a rebound. The projections for 2024 coming from, if you like, the known quote-unquote pundits in this area, Clarksey, from Clarkson, and then Drury International, and then also UNCTAD. All of them project that we would hit 12.6 million tons of global seaborne trade.
Okay.
And indeed, that's an increase of about 2.2 to 2.4%.
Right.
And so it's close to the projections that were given. And even though we are looking at November 2024, the likelihood is that by the end, by the time we calculate up to December, we should be hitting the 12.6 billion tons that was projected for 2024.
Right.
So indeed, that is very, very welcome. This, I must say, has come on the back of certain challenges, and therefore one can say that despite the challenges, despite the disruptions, I'm sure we will come to that, to come to total seaborne trade of 12.6 billion tons. One would say it's not remarkable, in terms of the pre-pandemic era increases that we were seeing. But anything 2.2, 2.4% year on year, if we have that, I think it's indeed a good sign for 2024.
Right. And then one major thing that normally transpires in the industry is freight rates. And can you bring us up to speed with the evolution of freights?
Yeah, we will talk about freight rates. Maybe, I don't know, once we talk about the global seaborne trade and what, maybe we can mention as well Ghana, how we have fared in Ghana. Then we'll look at the impact of the freight rates. So if you look at Ghana, for example, and then you look at our seaborne trade, and look at cargo throughput. Cargo throughput through the ports of Tema and Takoradi in 2023 hit about 26.5 million tons. Again, coming out of a pandemic era and seeing a little bit of a rebound. So that indeed is a good sign. And looking at 2024, even though we have not gotten the figures up to the end of the year, December, there is every indication that we are likely to maybe slightly edge the 26.5 million tons of 2023.
Yes.
Most likely. If we do not, we may be just around the 26.5 million tons.
Right.
And the attribution for this would be, I believe, will have to do with the election.
Right.
Anytime we have elections, and elections that are characterized by a lot of tension, etc., there is always a wait-and-see attitude, and that puts a damp, if you like, on
imports.
Yeah, imports and then trading. So if we are not able to edge above the 26.5 million tons throughput, as I said, the attribution will be mainly, I believe, due to the elections. But all the same, I mean, judging from the fact that we are doing about, in November, 21.2 million tons, and looking at the quarterly performance, the likelihood that we'll hit 26.5 is very high.
I'll be coming to you for, the trends that, stakeholders or industry players should be watching out for, looking out for in 2025. But I just want to take your assessment of the performance of ports in Ghana and then the sub-region, and maybe, if you like, Western Central Africa.
Yeah, increasingly there's a lot of competition.
Right.
There's no doubt at all about it, You know that Nigeria has gotten its act together by opening up the Lekki port.
Right.
A deep sea port, So that provides some competition along this range.
Right.
The port of Abidjan, provides some competition. And now Lomé and even Benin.
Yes.
And recently, Senegal, the port of Dakar is investing about $1.2 billion.
Wow.
In its infrastructure in the port. So along the West Coast, undoubtedly, there is a lot of competition. And this is where, as I indicated, it will be important, as it were, for us to put in place appropriate strategies, appropriate mechanisms to ensure that we remain competitive. Because there are others who are also gunning for the same business.
Absolutely.
And consequently, steps taken by GPHA in this direction are most appropriate.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, like I said, trends that
more freight.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, I said that global seaborne trade has increased by about 2.2, almost to 2.4, in 2024. Right. And I said this is against the backdrop of the supply chain disruptions, that we have seen, especially in 2024. The Red Sea region, is characterized by the geopolitical tensions that we see, creating a lot of uncertainty. I think last year I told you that uncertainty is good for romance, but not good for business.
Yes, sure, absolutely.
And that also has created a lot of uncertainty and brought about volatility in freight rates. So if you were to look at the Red Sea, for example, the Red Sea, the Black Sea, because of Russia-Ukraine.
Yes.
So the ports of Odessa, the Sea of Azov, all these places are creating, if you like, disruptions to the supply chains that exist on these routes.
Yes.
If you take the Red Sea, for example, there is a rerouting of vessels. So now vessels are doing the long route across the Cape of Good Hope.
Right.
And it means that the steaming time is extended, the number of days is extended, more fuel is burnt, and consequently you pay more, and freight rates therefore also go up. So do insurance premiums.
Yes.
So all of these have characterized the trade. The Red Sea, the Black Sea. If you take the Suez Canal, for example, traffic in the Suez Canal has dropped by almost about 70%, arising out of, as I indicated, the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East area.
Yes.
Then also climate change risks. The Panama Canal, even though I would say this is easing in the latter part of 2024, this has been easing.
Yes.
There still has been a drop of about 30%, of traffic through the Panama Canal. What this means, in effect, is that you use longer routes.
Right.
Longer routes, as I indicated,
Added cost.
Yeah, added costs. And added cost will be passed on in the form of freight rates.
Right.
So we are seeing increases in freight rates in this regard. The other pertinent thing that has influenced, the trade in 2024 has to do with the quest for the reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. So decarbonization, has come to the center stage, and consequently, for the targets, that are set and what is expected, would mean that sometimes they have to apply market-based measures.
Right.
And these application of market-based measures imply, for example, that in the European Union, they have an emission trading system, ETS. And in these emission trading systems, you as it were, buy credits for the emissions that you will, and consequently, buying credits in this regard means more money by shipping lines, and consequently, again, these will be passed on to shippers, and so developing economies are basically at the like the losing end.
Okay, the receiving end,
the receiving end of all of this, because the impact of these on freight rates normally hits hard on developing economies. If you look, for example, at our level of imports, for example, so you can imagine. So I think there is a concerted effort by many developing economies to argue for a just transition.
Right.
The transition to low carbon fuels, cleaner energies, etc. That there should be a longer time frame, within which we can achieve some of these. The developed economies, on the other hand, are moving so fast in doing these things, and consequently, the impacts are felt by us in the developing economies.
Right. You mentioned the Red Sea and the Black Sea. I just want to find out from you what the security situation in these areas at the moment is.
Yes. The situation is still what it has been in the last couple of months in 2024.
Right.
And that, as I said, accounts for the rerouting of ships, especially around the Cape of Good Hope.
Absolutely.
Because the turbulence is still high, the risk factors are high, insurance premiums in using the route is very high. And as I said, it has led to a significant drop, in cargo passing through the Suez Canal. Almost about 70% of traffic passing through the Suez Canal is rerouted. You recall that last year you mentioned that we were receiving a lot of containers.
Yes. Sure.
We need to look at this carefully.
Right.
Not so much cargo that is coming into.
Right.
But these are boxes that are being dropped in Tema and transshipped.
To other places.
Yes. That is all part.
I understand you have to draw your microphone closer.
Yeah, that is all part of what we need to bear in mind.
Right.
Then, if you look at the throughput, I'm sure significantly you would see a huge trade as far as Africa is concerned. And one sitting at the back may feel that, there is a lot of trade going on in Africa, especially between Ghana and the rest of Africa.
Yes.
But when you delve deeper and go closer, you would realize that the 4 million and over tons, of trading with respect to Africa in 2023, largely is from clinker imports.
Right.
And this year we've done almost about 2.3, and I believe by the end of the year, if you calculate all the figures, we may be hitting the same mark.
Right.
So in actual fact, in some quarters, I heard people attribute that to the African continental free trade area. But I must say that no, it rather belies what the actual situation is. Because over 50 to 60%, of that traffic that I talk about, of about 4 million tons in 2023, almost another 4 million tons in 2024, is primarily clinker coming from Egypt.
Right.
So if you are not careful, you may take the broader picture and think that there is a lot of trade, but a lot of it hinges on clinker coming from Egypt.
Yeah. Now, what would you say? You just mentioned after. I want to find out from you what you think its contribution so far to the sector has been.
I think I was here some time ago, and I mentioned, and I don't think much has changed. Not much has changed. Even though, again, there are green shoots in terms of what they are putting in place, the mechanisms. But when it comes to the hardcore infrastructure like ports, etc., as I told you, whether it's Togo or Benin or Cote d'Ivoire, everybody is putting in something. But the connectivity is not there. The connectivity, the transport networks are absent.
Absolutely.
And with that, I told you I was in a meeting in Benin about 30 years ago where we were talking about the Lagos-Abidjan corridor together with a railway line. It has not materialized. You get me? So at best, the trading, between the countries in Africa is still at the rudimentary levels.
Okay.
So after good, they have started doing a few things which I think are important in terms of ensuring that there is awareness creation of the opening up of the markets.
Yes.
But that is one side of the equation. The other side of the equation has to do more with the connectivity.
Right.
It has to do with the legal framework that is in place. It has to do with the administrative framework that is in place.
Right.
I mean, we talk, but still go to the land borders today. And they can attempt to cross the border, and you will see how cumbersome the process still is. So the barriers are still there, and I believe maybe after growth over a period, we'll ease some of these burdens.
You just mentioned connectivity, and I want to talk about integration. Ports within Africa do not seem to have that level of integration where they can operate seamlessly. And there's this complaint about the fact that we refuse to share data with one another. Everybody wants to hold the data close to his or her chest, and we just go about in silos, round circles, and we don't seem to achieve anything. But we also are very, very, we know for a fact that what can help propel us to grow would be to share data and to operate, on an even keel. But we don't seem to have that. Why is that?
Sometimes this is all rooted in history. It's the way our ports developed.
Right.
In our various countries, these were, if you like, the backbone for the development of the various economies.
Right.
Therefore, we tried to develop in silos. So every port was the basis of creating an economy for that country. So that has persisted, till now. The thing is that we should, like West Africa, when we talk about AFTA, we should, for example, begin to be thinking about specialization, specialized ports, so that in the sub-region there are nodal points that this is maybe 1, 2, 3 container ports. These are dry bulk ports, meant for clinker, meant for these are for general cargo ports. And consequently, the level of specialization shows that they become more efficient in what they do, instead of biting a bit of everything in each of the ports. It does not make us very competitive. So your integrated approach is something that ought to be looked at.
Absolutely.
So that the ports can share data, they can look at comparative advantage, and consequently seed some of the operations to other ports. And then when we talk about AFTA, then it becomes, meaningful.
Absolutely.
Other than that, if we all operate in these our individual bunkers and silos, then we don't get the true feel of a free market.
Absolutely. So that ties into my next question, which has to do with where you think that people or Ghanaians in the maritime sector or West Africans in the maritime sector should be fixated at in terms of opportunities.
I believe, last time we spoke about the blue economy.
Yes.
I am a firm believer, that there is a lot, of potential in the blue economy.
Right.
If we channel our resources towards the blue economy and harness the potential of the blue economy,
yes.
I believe there is a lot that we can achieve. We need not look at the blue economy only in terms of fish from the sea or navigating the seas with our canoes, yes. etc. But we need to look also at some of the secondary benefits,
right.
Matters of tourism and
Absolutely.
what they bring to us.
Yeah.
People are talking about technology, wind and wave energy, etc.
Yeah.
What can we derive secondary resources from the sea, and then even to looking at tertiary resources,
right?
So banking, insurance, etc. All of these are things that we should look at. So that is one thing that we should look at. Then I think also now AI, artificial intelligence,
right,
is permeating the industry in a very rapid fashion. Today, blockchain technology has already, permeated the industry, and it's being used in various places, various forms, in the entire logistics chain. AI is going to play a very prominent role, even when it comes to matters like scheduling of vessels.
Right.
Scheduling of routes, cargo movements, etc. The determination of freight rates, etc. All of these, that data is all going to come by means of artificial intelligence.
Right.
So the earlier people get involved in this area, I believe the better it will be for us, especially the freight forwarding industry. In other areas, AI has already started looking at matters relating to consolidation, deconsolidation, of cargoes, looking at ways in which destination ports, can be accessed through other means apart from the normal routes that we have had. So these are all things which AI is looking at. So when we are talking about transshipment, etc., AI will provide information that takes transshipment of cargo to a different level, because the calculations in terms of profitability would all have come out of the AI scheme of things.
Right.
So that also is a very important thing to bear in mind.
Right.
Added to that, exports. Exports. The NTEs are non-traditional exports. Yes. Still, the levels of our non-traditional
not encouraging
exports,
at all.
Yeah, not yes. We still are relying so much on our gold, our oil, our cocoa.
Yes.
But we should try and expand, the non-traditional exports.
Right.
Especially when we are looking at our currency.
Yes.
We are looking at our currency. It's one of the key things that I believe we would need to look at. One of the key things we need to look at is our exports, and then also to be intentional, if you like, and deliberate about import substitution.
Right.
We can't continue doing the same things and expect a different
results. Absolutely.
So, deliberate, intentional strategies and schemes to ensure that there is import substitution.
Right.
So that the manufacturing base in Ghana can grow. Without that, they talk about this huge unemployment and getting it. We can't solve it overnight.
Right.
Can't solve it overnight. We need to do these things.
Right.
Otherwise, we are shifting work to other places.
Absolutely. Right. Let's still dwell a little bit on the blue economy. And you mentioned tourism. And one thing that really comes to mind is cruise tourism. I think that the port of Takoradi did tremendously well last year. 2023, they got 7 cruise ships. 2024, it doubled to 14 ships. And I think that the Port of Tema also did remarkably well in that area for this year, receiving several cruise ships and all that. I just want to find out from you what we can do to up our game in this particular sector, because it's one that generates a lot of money for economies.
The cruise industry works on certain parameters.
Right.
They work on nodal points.
Right.
They work on connectivity.
Right.
So the reason why we are not seeing
much of the
enormous growth in this area, they can't just come to the port of Takoradi and then that is it.
Yeah.
There should be something else, that attracts a cruise ship to come to the port of Takoradi.
Right.
Spend some time. Those who go on the cruise themselves, they want to touch these nodal points. So the cruise ship, if you take the Caribbean, they go from port to port to port to port to port. In West Africa, we don't have the same thing operating. So if they only come to the port of Takoradi, and then they have to go all the way, out there to another place, maybe in Las Palmas, in some place, then it is too far off, as it were, for the cruise industry to enjoy the benefits of the nodal values of the various ports along the line. So we need to work together with other ports such that the port calls are not, there's no incentive really coming only to Takoradi.
Absolutely.
But if from Takoradi, the cruise ship will move to Abidjan. If from Abidjan, it will move to Apapa. So then those kind of things are what the cruise industry really needs. And as you said, it brings proper dollar.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The real dollar comes from the cruise industry. When anytime those who are on the cruise, they get down, they come ashore, there also additionally should be something of interest to them.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, if they come to Takoradi and there is nothing to look at, the next time nobody wants to come to Takoradi. But if you have places of interest, they can visit forts, they can visit castles, look at the infrastructure. To all of these places, our road network is bad.
Absolutely.
And these are areas that we need to concentrate on. So they go in tandem. You can't build a cruise industry without the network to the hinterlands. So that by the time the people get off the ship, there is so much for them to see and then come back onto the ship and move to the next place. These things are important for them.
Right. So in terms of opportunities for Ghana and its neighbors to collaborate for trade efficiency, regional trade efficiency, what should we be doing?
Earlier when I talked about specialization,
yes,
you talked about data.
Yes.
Because the specialization will emanate from data, and therefore you will see where you have comparative advantage. And therefore move on to get maybe a competitive advantage in that regard. So if you have ports that can invest heavily in STS cranes, and they do a lot of the work that you require, in that area, and they show themselves to be efficient.
Yes.
Then they can be the hub ports, and then from there will be transshipment to other ports in the sub-region.
Right.
Then you have other ports too, which may deal in bulk.
Right.
And therefore they get efficient as far as dealing in bulk is concerned. Where we try and get the best of every little thing, sometimes we don't become, as they say, is it a jack of all trades?
Trade and master of none.
Master of none. So a jack of all trades, but master of none. If we can specialize in these areas. I mean, if you go to the U.S., the East Coast, or you go to the West Coast, even though they are all in the U.S. and there are a number of ports, there is specialization as to the various ports and what they do.
Right.
And even in Europe, it's a similar thing.
Now, in terms of shaping maritime growth, what's the role of policy and regulation?
I have always maintained that at the heart of every development is policy.
Right.
You see, because it is out of that policy that you would engender strategy.
Right.
That you will begin then to take action.
Yeah.
You know, that action, in order to get it to work, would normally have to be founded on some legalities.
Absolutely.
And that is where regulation then comes in. So you have the law, which comes to buttress the policy.
Right.
You know, so you have first and foremost to find out what do we want. For example, Ghana. You know, I am an advocate for. So we have a Coastal Development Authority.
Yes. Yes.
I am of the view. This is my personal view. I'm of the view that we should have rather a blue economy authority.
Okay.
You know, so that embedded within that blue economy authority is the Coastal Development Authority.
Okay.
Because coastal development is part of what you do in the entire blue economy.
Okay.
You know, so if you want to look at the way in which you grow in that direction, as I've said, first policy. Because it's your policy which defines first and foremost what you want. What do you want?
Yeah.
Where do you want to get to?
Yes.
What are the trends that are happening? What are the developments? What are the challenges that exist? And consequently, these will shape the policy.
Right.
Once you have the policy in place, now you look at the strategy for the implementation of that policy. Then, as they say, your action plans for implementing them.
Yeah.
But it must all be supported by a certain framework.
Right.
And that is a legislative framework.
Right.
That is where regulations then become important.
Right.
You know. So that's the way I believe we ought to go. I've been talking about, you know, we have a transport policy.
Right.
But within that transport policy, we need to have a comprehensive maritime transport policy. That then goes wide out into the key things that we require in order that we would use the maritime sector to propel the growth of our industries in Ghana.
Right. Okay, so we're still talking about policy, and I just want to find out from you. You were quite instrumental when we launched the NIMS, National Integrated Maritime Strategy. What have we done with it?
You know, I'm laughing. I said it's a good document.
Right.
I recall and discussions on it. Yeah. I said, yes, NIMS is a good document.
Yeah.
As the name suggests.
Yes.
The maritime strategy.
Absolutely.
I think the first thing to come should be what? The policy. The policy should come first before the strategy. And I know that some strides have been made with respect to some of the key things that we intend to do as far as the implementation of the NIMS is concerned.
Yes.
But again, because of the fact that it is not rooted in a certain policy that enables us to do a proper M&E, monitoring and evaluation, so that we see whether the key performance indicators are being attained. Because the NIMS has some of the key performance indicators, but then you need to have something that is a rationale for having these, and therefore benchmarking against best practices and ensuring that these have been achieved. We haven't done that.
Right.
With respect to NIMS.
Right. Okay, so this is Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are taking a look at 2024 in retrospect and what the outlook for 2025 would be. Our guest in the studio is Dr. Emmanuel Kofimbia, who is an international maritime consultant and a private legal practitioner at Alliance Partners here in Accra. He's also a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the show. Please stay with us.
Energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP will feel ya, huh? Will be feel. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, welcome back. This is Iron Port, the very first edition for the year 2025. With us in the studios, Dr. Emmanuel Kofimbia, international maritime consultant, private legal practitioner, alliance partners here in Accra, and indeed a senior lecturer, University of Ghana. We're taking a look at the year 2024 in retrospect and the prospects for 2025. That's the outlook for 2025. And we just went for the break, and we have been told that we can activate the phone lines for you to call in. The number to dial is 0245-834980. 0245-834980. It's right here on your screen. We shall also be taking some messages. They are coming in thick and fast. And then we'll continue with the discussion with Dr. in the studios. Now, you're watching on Facebook, Maxwell Masters. Your name is Maxwell Masters. You're watching us live on Facebook. He says, God bless GPHA. And James Odonko, also watching us from on Facebook, says, GPHA should get machines to load containers at Golden Jubilee Terminal. Well, we'll definitely get more machines to enhance operational efficiency at the GJT. Thank you very much. Well, let's go into the inbox at the moment, Doc, before we come back to the main script. This one says, hi, I am Port. Thanks for giving us a recap of the year 2024 and outlook for the new year. Reliable platform as usual. Can you please ask Dr. Mbia what he thinks of the benefits as the new oil and gas terminal, of the benefits the new oil and gas terminal at Takoradi would bring to Ghana? This one is from Albert in Takoradi.
Oh, you answer.
Yes. If you want to profile...
Do you answer now, or you are giving a couple of them?
No, you answer us, and when I take, then you profile a response, and then I bring the next one.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and then respond to.
Yes, I think we discovered oil in commercial quantities way back in 2010.
Yes.
Thereabouts, and it's been a long time now. About 14 years.
Yes.
And so it's important that we don't look at the oil and gas business as some isolated business. We should look at it more in terms of an industry. Therefore, what an oil and gas terminal does is that it provides all the facilities such that other players, even within the sub-region, can utilize the facilities which we have in the oil and gas terminal in Takoradi.
Right.
And that will be of great benefit to not only the port of Takoradi, but the ports of Tema and Takoradi as well.
Absolutely.
So that infrastructure is very important, not only for our oil and gas industry in situ, over here in Ghana, but also for the sub-region and what it provides.
Right. Okay. Nana in Kumasi says, I am Port. You are doing a great job as always. Dr. Mbia, do you think the growth in global container volumes presents any unique opportunities? It says, do you think the growth in global container volumes presents any unique opportunities?
Yes, you have to look at it in terms of the trade.
Right.
Where is it coming from? A lot of this growth, quite frankly, is in Asia.
Right.
About 60 to 65% of this growth in the trade he's talking about is in Asia.
Right.
So you need to look at the growth in terms of the trade.
Right.
If you take the boxes, for example, a lot of it is going to China. And then China is sending them out to many parts of the world.
Right.
To what extent, for example, is this growth part of Africa or Ghana for that matter, such that we are either manufacturing or producing or the non-traditional exports I spoke about, that we are exporting a lot of this, then the growth in container that you see will become meaningful to you.
Right.
Other than that, it is growing, but it doesn't mean too much to us as far as Africa is concerned.
Right. Okay, so AC in Cape Coast says, this has been such an enlightening discussion. Dr. Mbia, how can Ghana's maritime sector address challenges in the fishing industry, like overfishing and stock depletion, moving forward?
Overfishing and stock depletion.
Stock depletion, yes. Yeah. Before you take that, let's go to the lines and welcome David onto the show. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Awesome. Please shoot, sir. Happy New Year.
Many, many happy returns.
Great.
Many, many happy returns.
Yes.
Doc, congratulations. I've been so excited and following your presentations.
Right.
That is so exciting. But I want to know, what is your take on the transit trade? Actually, today, we are looking at, we are taking at least the market share around less than 40 to 50%. Normally, look at Tema and Takoradi, we should be taking about 70 to 75% as the market share in the West African trade. What is your take? What do you think we are doing and we are not doing to, in fact, take charge of the transit business in terms of Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, in a competition with the other coastal ports?
Right. Thank you very much indeed, Dave, calling us from Tema. We're grateful to you. Yes, please.
So let me address Dave, and then I'll come to the fishery.
Yes, sure.
With respect to the transit trade, there are a number of factors.
Right.
We don't have dedicated routes, for example.
Right.
We don't have a real network. If we are serious about the transit trade, we should have a time frame within which we would complete a dedicated rail line to these countries, especially to Burkina Faso.
Yes.
the same time, our marketing efforts need to be improved, because every time we are marketing, remember that there are other competitors.
Right.
So Togo, which is here, Cote d'Ivoire, which is there, they are all taking part of that cargo.
Right.
So you talk about 40 to 50%, and you are looking at around 75%.
Right.
It is therefore important to create an environment that allows us to do this better.
Right.
That environment, for example, must have technology. You know, I know that some time ago we were putting these things on the back of trucks, you know, and ensuring that we monitor them before all through the journey. You know, we should up, the trackers. We should up these things such that, you know, the satellite networks would work it better, such that we would allow more of the freedom, you know, of the movement of cargo along these corridors. These are important for us to do.
Right.
If we really mean to capture the transit trade
market.
You know, because still the issues of diversion, you know, abound. People should pay duty, should pay taxes, when we all know that the international legal regime is that cargo which is in transit, you know, should not pay any of these taxes, duties, etc. So these are all impediments that we need to remove if we need to get our act together in the transit trade.
Absolutely. Right.
When it comes to the fishery,
yes,
I know the Fisheries Commission and the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture is coming out with a new law, you know, but even the existing law, they need to do a few more things and ensure that the monitoring mechanisms are much better, you know. So the remote monitoring approach, which they are doing now, should be enhanced.
Right.
You know, should be enhanced so that in real time you can get what is happening on the vessels.
Right.
You get me? So that is one of the things. You have to look at the mesh sizes, you know, that are being, you have to look at total allowable catches.
Right.
You know, we have instituted this period where there is a ban on fishing.
Right.
It may in itself not mean too much if we don't put in place the appropriate mechanisms to ensure, you know, that there is enough data to tell us that indeed this is the period where we have the spawning of the fishes, etc. And consequently, if you use that period, then it becomes beneficial. You know, so these are things which we need to do in order that we don't deplete our fishery stock.
Right.
And then, as I said, the technology for monitoring, such that there will be real-time monitoring on what is happening. So this bycatch that they have, and which they throw back or sell, etc., you know, they deal with it.
Right. Right. Okay, so Abubakari Ahmed in Tamale says, what should we do with our shipyard, Dr. Mbia, especially in the advent of the decarbonization efforts where a lot of ships are being retrofitted?
It's a good one.
Yes.
It's a good one. You know, again, it comes back to the blue economy.
Right.
You know, again, I talk about there are things that we need to be deliberate and intentional about, because these are, look, when we talk about jobs and jobs and jobs, we must be prepared to, as they say, put your money where your mouth is, you know. These are things that we need to isolate and prioritize, and consequently inject capital in these areas. There are many people out there in the world who want to build facilities like this, you know. So if we have a place for a shipyard like this, which we can revamp and then bring it to international standards, you know, because all the way from here, I think the next bigger place is in Las Palmas, you know. So there is business that must be made, but you need to have the appropriate equipment. No, you need to have the appropriate gear in these places. And that, as I said, we just have to be deliberate about this. We have to be intentional about it. We have to attract the appropriate investors and make sure that this thing is a profit-making venture. And we have to utilize it.
How come it looks as if when the Malaysians were in charge of our shipyard, we did a bit better? than at the moment?
So it's all a question of, I believe, management. You know, it's a question of management, and then also interference.
Right.
You know, interference. I'm a believer in government maybe taking a part and having the majority share go to the private sector.
Right.
You know, so that the private sector would drive, you know, the growth of these places, the needed capital, and also they bring the managerial know-how, the skill, and also the discipline that is important for operating these things.
Right, right. Okay. This one is from Ama Boni in Tema. It says, good evening, Iron Port. Shipping line costs have been a persistent issue for the Ghanaian trading community. What practical steps can be taken to address these high costs and ensure fair practices for importers and exporters?
Yeah, good. I think there is good news. The good news is the passage of the Ghana Shippers Authority Act 2024.
Yes.
You know, I have had a quick look at it, and I believe that some of the challenges that have bedeviled, you know, the industry with respect to these charges, once there is proper stakeholder engagement for the purposes of implementation, the appropriate regulations are put in place.
Right.
You know, we create, if you like, a market regulatory system, you know, such that there is approval, you know, for charges and things based on the market.
Right.
So it is not one of high-handedness, but one in which, based on a number of parameters, you arrive at figures and then put a monitoring mechanism in place and ensure that people are complying with those charges. I believe with that we'll have some progress.
Let's come back to the studio. I just want to find out from you what your assessment of our performance in the global maritime space is. Gone are the days when you guys were quite vibrant. I mentioned you in particular when you were the first black man to chair the legal committee of the IMO. I think the first and only black man to do so until date. Now, our participation at that level, how have we come? Have we monitored our progress so far? I know from time to time you go to consult for them, you attend their meetings and all that.
Yeah, I do consultancy for the International Maritime Organization. But I must say that this is not only peculiar to Ghana. You know, it's all of Africa.
Right.
There's too much politics. Too much. So we are not able to build the requisite capacity in this regard. You know, look, recently, congrats to her, the foreign minister, Shelley Ayokobuchi, get me. She rose all the way to the Commonwealth. It doesn't come just like that. You know, it comes over a period of time, an amount of consistency, you know, in terms of performance. Go to a meeting today. The next day, they said you got per diem, so somebody else should
attend
go.
that meeting.
You get me? The next moment, somebody else. So you don't build capacity in that regard. And therefore, we are not rising in the international arena to the levels that we ought to rise to. You know, and also our level of research, you know, and as far as a lot of African countries are concerned, it's rather low. And so our contributions, especially, you see, for example, we're now developing laws with respect to decarbonization, that is reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. What is the input of Africa? When you get to the meetings, I mean, data is at play. A lot of science is at work. You know, to what extent are we able to bring that data onto the table and to show exactly how these things will affect us as developing economies? So if we talked about the market-based measures, we talked about the emission trading systems, to what extent that if these things are applied, they would affect us as far as our growth trajectory is concerned. And these are things which we need to do such that we will take our rightful place in the international maritime arena.
Absolutely. That was going to be my next question. What strategies you would recommend to get us to, as it were, remain vibrant and, you know, quite active in the international maritime space. But let me find out from you, as a veteran in this particular industry, what would you, advise stakeholders in the industry to do going into 2025 to ensure that they stay afloat?
Yes, great. 2025, I think it's a good year.
Amen. Amen.
Someone said 5 times 5 is 25.
Right.
So it's a good year. So let us say that 2025 is a good year. One, there is the likelihood that we'll see increase in global seaborne trade. Clarksons, Drury, UNCTAD, I believe even the World Bank figures, all of them point to the fact that we are likely to see an increase in global seaborne trade again of about 2.4 percentage points.
Right.
So definitely we'll see some increase in traffic in that regard.
Yes.
But I mentioned that we have these disruptions, of the supply chain, the geopolitical tensions, in the Red Sea,
right,
in the Black Sea, and also the issues of climate change risks. They still abound. And these are consequently affecting, the business. So, if they remain protracted, we may not see the same level. That is the 2 or 2.4% increase we are talking about. There may be a contraction, in terms of global seaborne trade. Yeah. That is one thing I can foresee.
Right.
The other thing is the volatility as far as freight rates are concerned. With the decarbonization,
right,
there is pressure.
Right.
Especially, I think today I heard that we have crossed the 1.5 temperature increase.
Right.
Yeah, so definitely the pressure is high.
Sure.
In Europe, the targets they set in 2024 for the trading of carbon emissions was around 40%. Now they are hiking it up to about 70%.
Right.
This will affect ship owners, and once it affects ship owners, they will pass on the cost to shippers. So shippers, freight forwarders, they should brace themselves for increased freight rates, especially, as I said, if these disruptions I refer to as the geopolitical tensions, if they continue, if they become protracted, then the likelihood, that we will see increase in freight rates is very high.
Right.
Then also, because of the retrofitting, because of this decarbonization, the greenhouse gas, new vessels, the order book is expanding.
Right.
So we are expecting new deliveries. One would have expected that with new deliveries would have meant new tonnage. And therefore, with tonnage would have had a drop, in terms of freight rates.
Right.
But unfortunately, because of these downsides I have mentioned, even though there will be new deliveries, etc., we don't expect to see a significant increase, or decrease in freight rates, as it were.
Right.
So that is the way it portends. That's the way it looks like. When it comes to the container trades, the likelihood is that it will continue, to increase. China, the figures recently indicate a more positive trend in that regard. And anytime China grows, it grows to the rest of the world. So that also portends good as far as the container traffics are concerned.
Right.
These are some key things that we'll look at. We are expecting that in 2025, global seaborne trade should reach 12.8 billion tons.
Okay.
About 12.8 billion tons. And it's remarkable. I mean, when one looks back at 2019, 2020, I mean, on the back of the pandemic era, and then post-pandemic, having come to 12.8 billion tons, I think it's indeed significant.
Right.
And when we come home, I think there is goodwill.
Right.
There is goodwill as far as a new government comes into place. Immediately, it sends a signal that yes, Ghana, we've had a very good transition. There is calm. At the end of the day, it is good for business, and we expect that it should bring in investment.
Right.
And once that happens, we expect to see growth in that direction. If we look critically at the agricultural sector, if we look at the blue economy, if we look within the blue economy, tourism, but if we look at the blue economy, if we look at the agricultural sector, if we look at import substitution, as I've mentioned, and make these as key drivers, I believe that we'll get a very vibrant maritime industry in 2025.
Right. Okay, lastly, a colleague of mine, in fact, he used to be my mate in RMU when we were doing the master's program, Engineer Nati. He sends this way, says, good evening. Ask Doctor about maritime education, training and professional development for capacity building in the maritime industry for Ghana and the sub-region.
Yeah, very important.
Just quickly, we have barely 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, very important, very important. Because I have mentioned a number of things, and when you even spoke about the international arena, all of these come with training. It comes with education. It comes with building capacity in these regards. It comes with specialization, getting people specialized in particular areas so they are on top of their game, and consequently, when they speak with authority. So the education, the training, the capacity building he talks about is very, very important, and especially within the framework of the blue economy, we should be looking at inclusivity.
Right.
You can't have inclusivity when you are not doing training.
Absolutely.
At even the lowest level, you need to be doing training. Bringing people up to speed on new technologies, etc. So these are very important.
Right. Awesome. Thank you very much indeed. Dr. Emmanuel Kofimbia is a maritime consultant, international maritime consultant at that. He's also a private legal practitioner at Alliance Partners here in Accra and a senior lecturer at University of Ghana, helping us to digest today's topic, which has been retrospecting 2024 and indeed the outlook for 2025, which he says is going to be a very vibrant year, he adduced some reasons why he thinks that, yes, 2025 is going to be a very good year for the maritime industry. We'd like to say a big thanks to him for making a date and joining us for the first edition of Iron Port for the year 2025. He's always done that every year. And so we are grateful to you, Doc, for coming and for obliging us. We are sure in the course of the year, when anything comes up, we'll call on you and knock on your doors and you oblige us. We say a big thanks to our sponsors, that's Ghana Revenue Authority, Guelph PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. The show, remember, is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. The abridged version of Iron Port will be aired on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television GTV. Make a date and watch that. We entreat you to keep watching the rest of our programs here on Metro TV. God willing, next week we shall bounce back with another wonderful and exciting edition of your favorite Iron Port here on Metro TV. My name is Kennedy Mona. We wish you a super week ahead and we thank you so much for choosing us. Good evening and God bless.